Let's go down.
All right.
All
Go
right,
for
let's
it.
do it. Welcome back, strangers. Tonight we're excited to have Sidestep Adventures on. We're going to be talking about the forgotten history of the southeastern United States, and it's going to be a good time. We're just going to be talking about all sorts of creepy stuff. So to those who don't know, we've been gone for a while. My name's Blake. I am one of the narrators / editors for The Strangest. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well.
What's up? I'm Ethan. I write, sometimes edit and narrate for The Strangest. We're a paranormal and unsolved mysteries channel. We also travel around and film some strange places. But we're based in Virginia, which is kind of the southeast area. So it'll be fun to hear about Sidestep Adventures. It's highly recommended by Phantom of Darkness, who's here in the chat already. So we're excited to hear about you guys. But how do you introduce yourselves and your channel to new people on the internet?
Well, I'm Brian. No, I'm not Brian. I'm Robert. This is Brian.
Off to a good start.
So we do the channel's branded as a Southern Adventure series. Basically, we find lost history, that sort of thing, forgotten places. And well, I tell people most of the time we're local historians, you know, even though we don't have PhDs and
we're
all
more
that
like
stuff.
Local history enthusiasts.
Yeah, history enthusiasts.
So how did you get the idea to do all this? Were you guys enthusiasts beforehand and you're like, we should be sharing this online, or how did that start?
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of, I used to be a photographer, and that's what I'd do. I'd go around and take pictures of old places, you know, forgotten places, and, you know, I'd photograph them, just, you know, whatever. And then Brian and I got together, and because Brian was doing a lot of video at that time, and I proposed the idea of doing this as a YouTube series, you know, video series. And so we got together and did it, you know. And it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. So
that's definitely different. Like I really like watching it since Phantom sent me you guys. Like it's really cool. So how do you plan the places you go? Is it places you already know a lot about, or are you just like we're going to be in the area, so we're going to try to film here?
It's a 50. It's 50-50. Sometimes we plan where we're going to go. I'd say actually 75-25. Most of the time we know where we're going to go. We've got some kind of destination set, especially if we're all going out, Brian and I and David and Cody, the other two Sidestep Adventure crew that aren't here right now. But if we're all going to get out and go somewhere, we've usually got something planned. If I'm just doing a video myself for the channel, then sometimes I just head out and look for cool stuff, you know?
Yeah. So how long do you guys go to? Like, how long is an initial trip for you? Like, how long are you usually there? Because, I mean, your videos are really, like, edited really tightly. So, like, how long is an actual little trip?
You know, probably 2 hours, I would say.
Depending on the size of it. Like, there's some places where we might be there for 4 hours if there's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, that's true.
And if we don't have to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if it's a smaller place and doesn't, it really just as long as it takes to shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have you guys had any run-ins? Like you said, if you had to get the hell out of there, what does that mean?
So this is kind of funny. Actually, we generally our you know thing has been we don't go where we don't belong. So if there's a place that's all fenced up, no trespassing signs, stuff like that, we don't go there because it's like jail, you know. And hold on, there's a call coming in. Okay, because I don't like jail. So I stay out of places like that. We actually have had one run-in with the police, and it's actually really funny. The run-in with the police we had because we were filming the government center, the town hall, I should say, in a small little town, and it used to be an old school. So we were filming it, and cop comes rolling up and says, like, "Hey, man, what are you doing back here? You can't be around this building and all this stuff. We're closed today." It was a Sunday. We generally shoot on Sundays. So anyway, he's like, we're closed. You know, you can't be back here and all this stuff. And first of all, in this little town that we were in, we have some family property out there. So we pay taxes out there. So don't tell me I can't go around a public building, you know. And we didn't, you know, it's not like we were behind a fence or anything like that. And I thought about filming it and you know, making a big speech about it. You know, got harassed by police and all that sort of stuff for doing nothing except filming, and it's like, you know, a town with one cop. You know, he was just bored. So anyway, but I didn't. You know, that's not really what we do or we're about. But that's the only time that that we've had a run-in with the police. I did have another place that I had a run-in with the property owner, in the fact that I actually had permission to film the place. It was one David and I did. David Phillips, the other crew member. He and I found this place, and we got permission to walk around, film, and all this good stuff. You know, do what we do. So film the video, put the video up on YouTube, and so we got permission from the husband. And I got a message on the Facebook page from the wife saying, "Oh, you trespassed on our property, and this doesn't need to be on YouTube," and all of this stuff. And I'm like, "Dude, no, your husband was in my video. He gave us permission. He was with me the entire time. What is this?" And
And the property.
yeah, and the property was for sale too. You know, at the end of the thing, the husband he texted me and said, "Yeah, I probably don't need this online right now." And so I was like, you know what, whatever. I just took the video down. You know,
Until it sells.
Yeah, until the property sells, they don't own it anymore. Then it's going right back on the YouTube.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's a really cool place.
I mean, I know it's up to the property owner when it comes down to it, but I mean, they already gave you permission. That sucks.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she
in the
should've
video,
done
like
that.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I even met her. That she brought a picture of how the property used to look, because it was a cool old house out, and she brought it and showed it to us. I think I videoed it too, but I don't know, just crazy, you know.
Exactly. It's like ghost I can deal with, people no.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Ghosts usually have to stay where they're at.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to catch up on the chat a little bit. I've been rusty. But
Yeah.
hey, Kenneth, good to see you. He is always early. Stacy, good to see you. Rebecca, whatever. After Dark Analysis, how's it going? Let's see. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. It feels like forever. I guess it's only been a week now, but it feels like a long time. How's it going, Chris? Good to see you. Phantom of Darkness, he said he's excited, so we're excited too. I need to get a drink. I see Ethan. You got the drink and the dog.
Yeah.
Oops. I'm going to look at the live chat too, actually. I forgot I had my volume up.
Phantom said there's an echo. Do you guys have your YouTube page
Yeah,
muted? Okay.
It is now.
Carrie, how's it going? Oh, man, I really fell behind. Ghostwatch, you're awesome. Thanks. I think we're good. Masudo Chan, how's it going? All right, I think we're good. If I miss anyone, I'm very sorry. I'll shout at you later.
So the video that you guys had to take down, how was it doing? Was it doing really well and you had to take it down, or was it how long was it actually up for?
Yeah, it was up for a couple weeks, and it was back when we were just a, you know, itty bitty channel, you know, with less than 1,000 subscribers, and it got like, I think it's because I put it on private. I didn't take it all the way down. I think it's got like 1,600 views or something like that, which was a big deal back then. You know, it was doing really well, but what do you know? What are you gonna do?
And sometimes you go to a place that's eerie because it's very unfamiliar territory and you don't know anything about the people around. So you want to get in and get out, you know, because even if it's like, you know, public land, you don't know anything about the people, and people can be strange.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
There's lots of places I've seen just like driving around, just like on a Sunday drive that I'd like to get out and film, but I've been sketched out because I didn't know the area or really anyone for that reason.
There's another one. We went to a little town down near Columbus, and I don't want to say the name yet because I want to go back there and film it. But so there's a store out there, and it's an amazing old general store. Still says general store on the side of the building, and you know it looks like what you want to find as an old general store. You know,
Yeah.
it's exactly what you want to find, and so it's beside a set of railroad tracks. And so this is another David and I were out there, and we were on the public road filming it from the road. And I look back and there's a trailer, you know, it was beside some railroad tracks, trailer on the other side of railroad tracks. And I see this guy come marching out, you know, from his trailer, want to know what we're doing out there. And so he says, what are you doing out there, basically? You know, and we told him, you know, we're just taking pictures, man, this cool old place. And, you know, you can legally film from public road all day long, you know, and it wasn't his property anyway. And so, you know, generally when something happens like that, we immediately try to diffuse the situation and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's a business card. What can you tell us about it? You know?
Yeah.
And that generally works. And with him, he was like, okay, well, here's this, and this, but I can't let you do anything out here until you talk to the lady that runs the town, basically. And yeah, so, and it's like, I don't need permission from anybody to film from the road or tell the story of the town, you know, it's a town. And anyway, and then he's like, you know, I saw some kids out here and they were doing this or this, they were riding four-wheelers, and I told them they needed to leave, and they didn't leave, and I came back out with a shotgun. And so I was like, okay, so you're threatening me now, roger that. It's time for us to leave, you know, basically. I didn't say that to the guy, you know, and, but, you know, I was like, David, you know, let's go. Don't want to get shot by someone. And anyway, and the strangest thing about it is the guy was a firefighter out there, you know, so.
What a model citizen.
Exactly.
Fighting fires, killing strangers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
but that's
nothing gets in trouble faster than a stranger in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that sounds so stereotypical though, of like being out in the country. Like you have to talk to the person who runs this town.
Right. Exactly. It's funny, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to do what they say, because crazy. You don't mess with crazy.
Yeah, exactly. No.
And other times we've been asked to come out and shoot something.
Yeah, plenty of
somebody,
times, you know, people have asked us to come out, and we've even run into people, you know, while we're out shooting that, you know, welts of information, you know, welts.
We've had more good than bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've definitely had more good than bad. I mean, the bad experiences, run-ins with people like that is very, very slim, you know.
So what are some of your coolest places you've been to, or coolest stories you have?
Well, my absolute favorite, I don't know what Brian's is, but my absolute favorite is a video, The Tale of Samantha Street.
Oh, that was cool.
And so if you go down this dirt road, you pass by and you see one little headstone sitting in the woods. You look around, there doesn't appear to be any other graves unless you know what to look for, you know. So a good friend of mine, his name is Dan Aiken. He's an area historian for the area out there. And I asked him, man, what's up with this, you know, one lone tombstone out there? And he gave me this incredible story. And so it happens that this area was actually an old slave cemetery. And Samantha Street was born a slave. And then, of course, freedom came, and she, you know, lived out her life, and she wanted to be buried with her family in the slave cemetery. So it's a really sweet story. There's a lot more to it, but, you know, it's a really sweet story of Samantha. And
there's a lot of graves out there.
And there's a lot of unmarked graves out there. And it's in danger because we met somebody out there when we were filming. Someone came up and said, hey, what are you doing? And she said that she was so glad we were out there filming. See, that was one of the good, you know. She was so glad we were out there filming because the logging company that actually owns the land was getting ready just to mow over all those graves and that headstone and you know, just do away with it. And she went out there and stopped them, said, no, there's a cemetery right there, you can't do that. But you know, if she hadn't been out there and done that, then you know, it would have been gone.
And it's all like craft land. It's all like where they grow trees. And it used to be an entire plantation out there.
Yeah. It's like there's so much history, you know, that you see this one little place, and find out there's so much other history around the, you know, the area. And I contacted a bunch of historians about that cemetery, like, you know, hey, this needs to be saved, and nobody was interested in it, you know. So that was the unfortunate part about it. But it's a really nice story, I think.
Yeah.
When we had Haunted Road Media on a few weeks ago, he talked about like one of the coolest things about doing YouTube and finding stories like that is you do kind of can help preserve these little nuggets of history and kind of help do your part and make it more known to others. And if you could build up enough, if your video got enough hits, people might start caring or learn about it.
Absolutely, and you kind of nailed one thing that we do is our mission has always been to video these places before they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, and because one thing, when I was younger, I was driving down a road and there was this cool old building that I wanted photographs back when I was doing photography mainly. This cool old building I wanted photographs, and I thought I'll get it next time. You know, I'll get it next week or whatever. Next time I drive by it. Drove by it next week, it was gone. It had been
That's
burned
sad.
down. And
Man.
Brian filmed a house. The name of the video was, I think it's the Old Road, Old House, something like that. And he filmed the house, and then like a month later, the house had been burned to the ground.
And I'd grown up, you know, back of my parents' car, going to visit, you know, grandma down to Sumter County, and, you know, taking the back roads, and, you know, for years, year after year, passing this house by the road. And I'm like, man, that was one neat old house. Well, we were in the neighborhood one time and went down there, and I was like, oh, well, it's abandoned. I think I'd been recently before then. And I didn't go in because in this particular case, it was abandoned, but yeah, it was unknown territory. And I didn't want to be all up in the house, but I shot the house and walked around it. And yeah, if I had waited just another week, it'd have been gone. And
Wow.
it's like, when it comes to preservation of history, this is something I've mentioned possibly on the channel, is that people are really good about preserving history, but like the mansions and the nice houses and the pretty things. But then you have these, you know, the sharecropper houses, the houses that are not in such good repair, the houses that don't have a name attached to them, and people bulldoze those things left and right. And, you know, all out there in the countryside are these houses just deteriorating, and they have owners. The owners, you know, it's private property, so you can't go to it. But at the same time, they're not doing anything with it, and they just crumble. And, you know, what do? You know, you shoot it from the road, you document what you can, and oftentimes you'll have a structure or a house or something. There's one that we've got coming up, where it's like one or two houses, and it's like, okay, that's cool, let's go shoot this house. And then you find out that it was expansive. Like the area it's in was like once just this sprawling community with all these structures, all these houses, all these buildings. And all that's left is one building you would never know, because it's all like woods now, or, you know, just everything's gone. Not even a sign of it left.
That's another thing that Brian mentioned that I want to touch on real quick is actually kind of our name, the Sidestep Adventures channel, comes from the fact that we weren't filming mainstream history, you know, that's at least local to Columbus, right, and the area. We were filming we were sidestepping the mainstream stuff and filming the forgotten stuff, you know, that nobody
like
around here cares about.
Opera House and places like that, but we wanted to get the other stuff.
So where's the furthest you guys have gone or traveled for the channel?
Well, Brian has traveled long ways. He's done videos Kansas. I don't know if they're on the Sidestep Adventures channel. Brian actually has a separate channel called Down the Road with Brian Mallard, and it's more of a travel vlog sort of thing. And so he's gone all over, you know, Kansas. Where else have you been?
Kansas, the Louisiana Purchase. You can actually see the line between the trees where the surveyor, the line between the east and the west.
Oh, wow.
And it's a swampy area. And it's not up yet. I've still got to edit it. I did shoot. I found that we were traveling the Blue Ridge Parkway, Stacy and I, and we came across this. We stayed at this Holiday Inn in Dillsboro, and it's like on some back road. And I'm like, why is it on this back road? Realized later there just wasn't enough room for it in town. But found this coal hopper, and it's this old train coal hopper just sitting there on grown over tracks. And I'm like, well, let me look at this from maps from the room. Well, I'm looking at it, zooming in on my phone, and I happen to look over just a little bit, and it says the fugitive train wreck. And I'm like, what? So I went down there and I shot from the road. You can't get up to it, but it's the actual engines that wrecked in the movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. It's just sitting there, and you can buy a train ticket and
Yeah.
pass right by.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw Brian's video, where they filmed that movie. They just left, the wrecked bus and the wrecked trains and
Yeah,
all
it's
that
all
sort
right
of
there.
stuff. It's pretty cool.
But now Sidestep, we've gone a couple of hours. We've gone, in the main radius of the area in which we live, because there's a lot of development coming in our area. Where when I was younger, like just 20 years ago, there are places that were just just woods. Nobody went there. Nobody cared about it. And now subdivisions are popping up everywhere. So we're trying to get as much stuff as we can before it's gone, because it's going to be gone really, really fast.
Yeah, yeah. The basically the more stuff that the less stuff we have to film around here is the further we'll travel out. When we run out of stuff around here, then we'll go further.
And eventually we just spiral our way out, and
We're like the opposite. I don't think we've actually covered anything from our actual area. We keep telling ourselves we will. But
You're right.
Let's go across the world. Let's go over there. They've probably got something. Don't even go to the backyard.
Yeah, right. And man, I was bad about that for a long time. I'd go over to these other places and see cool stuff, and I'd make sure I photographed it, whatever there. And then I always said to myself when I got back home that I would look at my town and my surroundings like I was a visitor from somewhere else, and try to take away this. I'm used to seeing this, and this, and look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
And it works too.
It does.
Sometimes you start to see stuff that you did not see before. And that's actually one of the triggers for, because it was originally Columbus Sidestep, and then we realized we needed to go beyond that, so it became Sidestep Adventures.
That's really cool. I mean, I've watched a couple of your videos. I really like them. Like, just that's something I want to do more of, is actually go out and investigate. So that's super cool. But
thank you.
One day.
Yeah, my uncle's been telling us we need to do more stuff around our city or just our area, because we have a lot of history too, and he's had a lot of ideas. Like, we've done a couple things. In fact, we have one Sunday, me and my wife went out to a plantation, like where they have like weddings and stuff, and we went and exploring. They also had trails you walked around, and we also found a slave cemetery all the way in the back of their grounds, and it was like right on the edge of the property, and they just had like almost like you said, like one marker and a little sign that like denoted it. And then when we Googled it, there was like they said estimate over 100 slaves buried there, but there was only one remaining headstone type thing, and then one marker like telling you about it.
Yeah. And frequently, like I spend a lot of time exploring on Google Maps, and sometimes after we've shot something or when we're going to go shoot it, I'll like Google Map the area to see if I can, because you can see faint outlines of stuff that used to be around. You can see a footprint. Oftentimes you can see stuff that you won't see when you're on the ground. Yeah. And so it kind of helps us to map out where we can look while we're there.
Yeah, when Brian and I are going out, he's usually my co-pilot in the passenger seat of the Jeep. And so I'm partially like, Brian, look out the window for cool stuff. And then I'm also like, wait, no, look on your phone to see what else is here. Wait, no, look out the window.
So have you ever been to anywhere like really creepy? Anywhere that's creeped you out?
There is a school that we filmed, and it was actually pretty creepy. It was an abandoned school that had been like halfway renovated into apartments, like halfway, like low income apartments. And I don't know if anybody actually lived. Well, I guess people did live there because there was personal stuff on the walls and stuff like that. But while we were in there, for one, the place was dark, and you couldn't see anything. We had terrible flashlights. Got to upgrade flashlight. But anyway, and so we're in there, and who was it? I think David kicked a door open, and because the door had already been broken, and he closed it and was like reenacting, how someone kicked it open or whatever. So he kicked it back open, and it slammed. And then a second later, another door slammed in another part of the school. And it was like, we're like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah, and it
And-
wasn't an echo.
Yeah, it wasn't an echo because we tested it to make sure it wasn't an echo. And then as we maneuvered further through the school, you'd hear door slam and a door slam. And it was the weirdest thing. And then on the video, when I uploaded the video, I was listening to it, and you can actually hear like a voice or something, you know, at one point of the video. It's pretty. It was a pretty interesting place, and I'm not saying that it was haunted or it was anything, you know. I think Brian was like, "That's just the wind," or something like that, you know, because I'm a huge skeptic, you know, when it comes to that sort of stuff. But it was enough to you know, creep me out a little bit.
And you
Yeah, I
know,
was
every
gonna-
time there's a horror movie, somebody says it's just the wind. It's
Yeah,
just the wind.
yeah, right.
It's just the wind. Now let's split up.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
But no, that's crazy. Like that's what I want to experience. I've never had anything really. I mean, I'm a big skeptic myself. So,
Yeah.
but I've never had anything like that happen to where it's like, oh man, this could be really creepy.
Yeah. I mean, that was. I was getting creeped out at that time, and usually I don't get creeped out. You know?
Usually I'm worried about the more solid issues, but yeah, you hear door slamming in an old school, always at the other end of the hall.
Yeah.
It's like,
Where there, and that was a place that we had absolutely express permission to be, because the guy that owned it actually invited us out to film it, and so we knew that there definitely should not be somebody else in this building, and plus where the doors were slamming, we'd already been there, and there were no other people, you know.
and we went and looked.
Yeah, and we went and looked. I mean,
We were making sure.
we were like,
so,
let's split up and find this.
Yeah.
So there was no way it was like a squatter or someone in there that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about at first, is it was a squatter or somebody that, you know, shouldn't have been in there, but no, it wasn't. I mean,
there was definitely nobody else. In
Yeah.
the building.
so I don't know what it was. You know, I'm not saying that it was anything by any means, because skeptic, but I can tell you another story. This isn't a Sidestep adventure video. This is a place that I have mixed feelings about going back to. And so this is back again when I was doing photography, and I had driven out to Plains, Georgia in my 1951 Ford car.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah. And I was just taking a road trip and with my camera. And I was filming, or we were filming Sidestep Adventures back at that time, but at that time, it was so early that we'd started filming that I didn't film by myself, because I was unsure of myself, basically doing video. So I was more comfortable just, you know, taking pictures. But anyway, so I went out there, and I was coming back to town, to Columbus, taking back roads. And so there was this house. It was just an old cabin type house, you know, and it was all collapsed in, and it was like, you know, just the front portion was here, the other portion was laying on the ground. And so and it was on logging property. So I stopped and walked up to the house and was, you know, taking pictures of the house. And I was beside the house, looking in the house, and it's real small house. And so I was standing there beside the house, and I kept hearing people whispering or talking. And so, and it was more of a feeling than anything. I got the feeling like I was being watched and someone was telling me to leave, you know. And so I was looking around, you know, where are these people at that are talking, you know, sort of thing. And it was clear cut land all around, you know, so there was nobody else out there. And so I got creeped out, you know, because I kept hearing, you know, it sounded like people were talking, and they sounded like they were, you know, like not across the room, but in another part of a house. You know, you can hear conversation, but you can't make out what they're saying. And that's what it was like. And so I finished taking pictures, and I was getting more and more creeped out as I was there and hearing the voices, or hearing people. And so I got back in the car and started driving back to town. And going back to town, I got this most depressive feeling on me, like I just got suddenly deeply, darkly depressed, and it was really freaking me out, to be honest with you guys. You know, when I called Brian and told him. I called Brian and my uncle Walter.
I was in Disney World at the time.
That's right, you were in Disney World, and told him about it, because it was scary, honestly, and it was scary because of the feeling that I got afterwards. You know what I mean? Like just it's hard to describe. It's hard to put into words, but just this like the whole weight of depression in the world on your back, you know, suddenly, and just a deep, dark feeling, and it lasted for half of the trip back to Columbus. And I'm not somebody that gets, you know, deeply, darkly depressed usually, and it was weird. It was a really weird experience, and I've always wanted to go back to that house and film, but I've also had been hesitant to go back to that place and film it because of the experience that I had there. And you know, at the time I was like, you know, what was that? You know, it was terrible experience. And then, of course, later on, you know, I'm a skeptic, so I just rationalized it, that it was, you know, probably, you know, sound carrying, and I tricked myself into it, you know. So I don't know what it was, but it was creepy, and I don't really want to go back there.
There are some places that just give you the creeps.
Yeah, and this was more than just a place, though. It was a whole experience out there. But maybe one day we'll go back out there and film it again, if it hasn't been burned down or bulldozed, or, you know, if it's still there.
Well, on the bright side, even if you don't go back, it sounds like you brought something with you. So
Yeah,
everyone needs a souvenir.
Yeah, that's what a buddy of mine who is a believer, he told me, he's like, don't come around me anytime soon, you know, because you brought something back with you.
I had a similar experience. This was years and years ago, way before Sidestep Adventures, where we did any of this sort of thing. I had this job, and I was working. I would like run, take care of the cars, gas them up, and stuff like that. And it was a, you know, summer day, bright, sun shining, and I'm driving down the road, and I got actually a feeling similar to what Robert just described, like a just absolutely depressing feeling. This like there was no hope in the world. Like, it was just
that's a good way to put it. Like there was absolutely no hope, just doom and gloom.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it passed, and immediately after that, I passed a funeral procession.
Damn. Wow.
That makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I've never had that experience again. So whose ever the funeral that was.
Yeah, you know, after I'd been to that place and called some people, you know, there was like some conversation about, like, I wonder what happened there, you know. I wonder what the dark, you know, what got left over from, you know, like something bad happened at that house or whatever, you know, and that makes sense. And of course, you know, it's also more reason for me not to want to go back. But
now I want to go.
Yeah. Right.
And where was that at again? Like, what area was that?
It was
the address?
Right. I can tell you it was somewhere between Sumter County, Georgia, and Columbus, Georgia, down some back road. I could find it again, but I don't know the road names out there.
I've passed the place before, but I've never stopped because I was with Stacy and it just wasn't time.
That's his wife. He's
We'll let you know next time we're in Georgia.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a pretty crazy time.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience to that same feeling when we were in a New Orleans cemetery. Like, we'd gone on a road trip and been in like probably 10 cemeteries by the time, like all over like the Southeast. And this last one, like, I went in a mausoleum that was like open. And when I came out, like, I tripped over like nothing. Like, there was nothing there in front of me. It was like something like tripped me up. And then I had like the same feeling like wash over me. Like I just like disturbed something and started feeling like really, I don't know. It was a strange feeling. Like that, the only time I felt that. And out of all the cemeteries we'd been in, it was just like I shouldn't have gone in there. I messed with something, and it didn't like it. Like,
and that cemetery wasn't one that was supposedly that haunted. We were just there. We were there because we were filming. Like, we were trying to kill two birds with one stone. We were filming places that American Horror Story had filmed when they were in New Orleans, and that just happened to be one of them. And then Ethan, you know, he got whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
But,
wow.
Yeah,
No,
all I
like-
know is Ethan went from wanting to explore all these places to not wanting to explore anymore.
No, I was pretty much
Me
done the
either.
rest of that day. Like,
It's
Yeah.
weird too because you go through your day-to-day life and you're relatively confident about the way the world works, but there are things that happen and they have a profound effect on your psyche. It's
Yeah.
like you're not prepared for it because it's not
Absolutely.
really something you can prepare for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd been in so many places. Like we'd been to Charleston, Savannah, St. Augustine, and New Orleans, and that was like our last cemetery in New Orleans. Hadn't had anything like that at all. And that one was a cemetery that was really in disrepair. They use it because it looks like the Lafayette Cemetery. That's like really famous. If you get the right shots, you can make it look almost. But a lot of it's in disrepair. A lot of it's open. Like even some of the vaults you can like film in, and it's not good. And we were there in the daylight too. It wasn't like super creepy at all. It was like nothing should have bothered you. Like,
Right.
Well, I think ghosts haunt. If there are such thing as ghosts,
yeah.
I think they're there whether it's day or night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's always been my viewpoint on it. Is if and I'm not saying any place is ever haunted. First of all, that's not. We're not ghost hunters, and definitely don't claim to be, But if a place is haunted, it's going to be haunted, there or not at all, as I generally believe. But I've gone to back when we were filming in October last year. I was trying to hit up all of the local lore places, like we went to a cemetery that's supposed to be super duper haunted where a girl that was allegedly a werewolf was buried. And it's a really interesting story because back in the late 1800s when she was around, they legit thought she was a werewolf, like it made the papers and stuff. But that cemetery is supposed to be super duper haunted, and I went out there, nothing happened.
It is a rattlesnake.
Yeah, I did see a rattlesnake, but nothing happened. There were no ghosts. And then we went to every town apparently has a crybaby bridge. So I found out. Yeah, and so we went to our crybaby bridge, and we went in the middle of the day. We didn't go at night. We're supposed to shut the engine off. And
I have been there at night before, like back in the 90s, and didn't see anything there.
Yeah, nothing happened. And then I went somewhere else that was supposed to be haunted, and it wasn't haunted, And then, of course, we made a big fake haunted video for Halloween special that people either hated or loved. I'm not sure what, but
it got cut a little short because I legit hurt my.
Oh yeah, that's right. So we planned to do this fake haunted house exploration, and so we planned it out how to go through and fake all this stuff, and each one of us was supposed to disappear at a certain time and all of this. It was just for fun, and then in the middle of shooting this video, Brian and I are supposed to be looking for David or Cody, whichever one of them was disappeared at the time. And so we're going out back, to fake look for them while they're walking around the other side of the house. So they're off camera. And I duck under this piece of tin. The house had burned down. And this was another case where we actually had permission to go. Oh, that's something else I got to add about that. But we had permission to go film this house and plant and do a haunted thing there, or fake haunted thing. And so Brian and I are going out back. I ducked under this piece of tin, and I hear, you can hear it on video too, you hear bam, ow. And so Brian jabbed actually, I think you can still see the scar right there. He jabbed his head right into the tin, and it just ripped a big hole in his head. His face is covered in blood and stuff
everywhere.
And so I was like, I'm going to keep filming because this is awesome for this video. And so anyway, David had disappeared at this time in this video. It was scripted for him to disappear at this point. And so I'm walking around the house looking for David, and I come around the corner of the house, and David's standing right there, and I'm like, dude, get out of the shot, And David's like off camera quietly. So I turned the camera this way. I'm like, what? He's like, and so I turned the camera back around. David scurries out of view, walk around to the front of the house, and there's a freaking headstone sitting in the front of the house, like partially covered over by leaves and stuff. And my reaction on video was real. It wasn't fake because we had no idea that was there until David spotted it when he was supposed to be disappeared. So what it turns out is probably the family had bought the tombstone that used to live in that house before it burned down. And I guess they left it there or something. I don't know why it's there, to be honest with you. But the person's not actually buried there or anything. One of my viewers looked up the name and found out where they're buried and everything. But it was crazy, man. It was like, you know, we couldn't have picked a better spot to do a fake haunted video. And there's a freaking tombstone in the front, you know. But
and all it takes is a concussion to find.
Exactly.
Or people in your comments like, oh, fake blood. Really? That looks so fake.
Right? I didn't get anybody like that, but I sold it as a fake video straight up, you know. It was titled Halloween special. And in the comments I wrote out the script, and of course the video started with, this is the last video for like found footage sort of thing, you know. And then I made a comment and pinned a comment like, hey guys, you know, hope you enjoyed this, just for fun, Halloween, you know, all of that sort of thing. And I got a comment on the video, was like, fake. I didn't subscribe either. I was like, well, fine, I didn't want you to subscribe.
This is fake. I'm unsubscribing, and I'm telling all of the other people that you're a phony.
Right.
Well, it's like Gilligan's Island. They used to get people writing in all the time, pleading for them to go rescue the people on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
And they're like, it even had a laugh track, and people thought these people were actually on an island.
Yeah,
so,
and yeah, at the end of the video, I said, you know, at the end of the video, after we'd all disappeared, the video ended, went to black. We did a stand-up at the end and announced that it was just a fake Halloween special. You know, obviously, I mean, you'd have to, you know, be a special kind of not bright to not realize watching the video that it was fake. But, yeah, anyway.
I mean, people can be picky, but they should have known from you guys' content to begin with. And,
Exactly. That's not what we do, you know.
Yeah. But still, people can be so in the comments. Comment
This
warriors.
is fake.
One thing that always got me was like, I have friends that used to think Paranormal Activity, the movie, was real, actual found footage. And I was like, it has multiple endings.
and credits.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, people, I don't know. I worry about humanity sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some places you guys really want to go, or what would be like the ultimate like road trip around the Southeast?
Man, I want to go to New Orleans and
That's a
and
good
film it
time.
because there is so much history out there, and it's an awesome place. I want to go out there. But man, you know, honestly, there is so much cool stuff just down here in the Southeast. You know, I can give you a list, you know, this long of places that I've either seen online or stuff like that, you know, that I was like, but it's like, you know, 5,000 miles away. It's still down here, you know, so maybe not 5,000 miles away, but, you know, that's a lot. I tell you one thing that I really want to do is I really want to drive Route 66. I've been wanting to drive Route 66 since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a bucket list item that would make a really cool sidestep adventure too.
I'd really like to hit up some small town. I'm always looking for the small town that is a big town, that's a ghost town, that's a small town. Because, like, you go through most of these towns, there's one or two stores or whatever. Then you have, like, I guess you have Atlanta and Columbus and places like that that are all big towns. But there's some medium-sized towns throughout the Southeast too, and I would like to travel around and explore old hotels, because hotels are a great, you know, there's lots to explore.
Yeah.
There's Stacy and I were in Fitzgerald, and they had it was in pictures. It was a phenomenal, gigantic hotel, but it was gone. And but there are still places that have really nice hotels, and the Windsor Hotel in Americas, it's in operation. It's a Best Western, which is nice. I've stayed there many times, but it's supposed to be haunted. But you walk around there at 2:00 in the morning, it's pretty creepy.
Yeah. The Windsor Hotel, we actually need to go down there and do a legit video down there because it's super cool. It's got a turret, you know, not actually weapon turret, but, you know, the old castle style. It's really, I guess, Victorian.
Well, yeah, it was
design.
actually
It's pretty
designed by European architects.
Yeah.
And There's a lot of accents of it.
It doesn't look like it should be in a small southern town, you know? It
And
looks
Charles
like
Lindbergh spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, Charles Lindbergh, Al Capone allegedly spent the night there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is.
And all that sort of stuff.
We really wanted to stay when we went on our trip. We wanted to stay in haunted hotels, but they were all very expensive, and they weren't about having Ethan or Rebecca's
Excuse
dog.
me, I'll be right back.
You're fine. We just assumed it was ghosts.
Yeah. You got abducted.
I just see you stare off, and there's just a dragging sound. I was like, that's probably fine. Is this the part of the video where you get another concussion?
Love is gone. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully he can get the concussion this time.
Exactly.
But yeah, the hotels would be fantastic. I have a love of small towns and old houses lost in the woods. And if you look at like Vanishing South Georgia, they have a lot of photographs of old towns and places that are abandoned. But the really fun stuff is the stuff that's grown over in ivy that nobody even knows the history of it. Actually, I've got a really cool location that I plan to shoot coming up. It's a town. If you're familiar with Americus, Georgia, you know that it's a pretty thriving town, and it's got the Windsor Hotel and all that. Well, back in the 1830s to the 1850s, there was a town some miles from it that overshadowed Americus called Danville. And it had the first brick building in the county. It's right on the Flint River on Danville Bluff. And it had like a schoolhouse and all this. I mean, it was a town. Well, the railroad came to Americus, and as of 1905, there was not a sign of Danville left. Not a sign, nothing, not a building. And I think I may have discovered where the cemetery is.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool to see.
That's going to be a cool place.
That's and it's right off the highway in a clump of trees. And I've got a list of names of people who lived in Danville, so I'm going to look for them in the cemetery.
Nice.
Ethan and I are trying to hold back our jokes. We've been to a Danville before.
Yeah. In fact, we've been to a Danville that has like a sign of a bunch of Danvilles. And I was trying to imagine. I know there was like a Danville, Indiana on the sign just because like Blake had been to Indiana. I can't. And there's a Danville, California. But I can't think
And there's a Danville, Virginia, I think.
Yeah.
That's another Danville, Georgia. It's like halfway across the state.
Yeah. Talking about places that we want to go from earlier, I don't know how this got onto Danville because I was out of out of the room, but that is something that I really want to find and film. Talking about bucket list item is, and we've kind of sort of found places, but I know where a lot of towns used to be, and there's no sign of them anymore. I'd like to find a town that actually is a legit in the woods ghost town, no modern road running through it or anything like that, just a completely forgotten place. And they're out there. I actually know where one is right now, but it's just foundation and cemeteries is all you can see. But that would be cool to find, But, honestly, the way that stuff tends to rot down here from the humidity,
Yeah, see, out west you have you have like 1,000-year-old ruins, of the old ones, the Anasazi and all that, out in the deserts because it's such a dry climate. Here in the southeast, is anything that gets abandoned for any length of time, it doesn't take long for it to just rot away.
Yeah, houses that are abandoned for a decade look like they've been abandoned for 100 years or something. It doesn't take long down here with the humidity, and also on the ghost town thing. Some people have said have commented. I've got a few ghost town videos up that are legit ghost towns. I think like there's one Seal, Alabama. And so it used to be a town, and now it's a zip code.
Yeah.
And so the actual town square where the town is just abandoned. There's still people that live around the area, but this town the town, what I consider the town was the business, the town, the stores, all of that stuff, the bank.
There's an empty post office.
Yeah, an empty post office. That to me is the ghost town, not the fact that it's a huge zip code now, because it lost its town charter back in the 50s. It ceased being a town, and now it's only a
Yeah, there's two types of ghost towns. There's ghost towns like Bodie. Everybody knows Bodie, I think California, but it's like old western town just sitting in the middle of the desert. And then you have another kind of ghost town where there's still residential areas, but the actual town part hasn't been used in like 50 or 60 years.
yeah.
And that's a distinction that I see. I guess some people wouldn't see that distinction because people still live around the area that it's not a ghost town. People still live there, but the town itself is a ghost town.
Yeah.
It's definitely a ghost town.
Yeah, I was looking up abandoned places in Virginia because like the other weekend we went up on a little road trip, and I found a couple of ghost towns, like in the sense that there's still little residential places, but like the commercial centers and stuff are all abandoned, like where like it's all dried up, like there's no jobs, and
no industry whatsoever.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to check that out. They were too far away on where we were going, but it'd be interesting to see. So,
and they're fascinating because all of our architecture has changed. Industry architecture in the 1800s, it was the mills, and even mills today that exist are built very differently. So it's there's a lot to be learned and a lot to see from like the old hardware stores and the old wooden floors where the goods used to sit on wooden shelves, because now everything's on metal shelves. Like everything has changed. It's a completely different atmosphere, completely different aesthetic.
There's one town that we went to and filmed. Brian mentioned metal shelves, wooden shelves.
Yeah.
Thought about it. And I can't say the name of the town, and I didn't say the name of the town in the video, just to preserve it, because it's a old strip of buildings, and it used to be a huge place, and it used to be like the moonshine capital of the county where it's at. That's the bank in the town actually did not fail during the Great Depression because of liquor that was made out there, kept the bank alive, kept the money flowing through the town. And so there's a story of the train would come through the town, and they would just dump the sugar off the train onto the sand out there, and people would come out of the woods and everything.
Their wagons.
Yeah, with their wagons and gather up the sugar and go back into the woods. Yeah. And there's plenty of springs and clear water, out there. So, it's a haven for the moonshining. But anyway, the town was huge back in the 1800s and 1920s, I guess, 30s Depression era. And then it slowly died it's actually really interesting why it died. It died because they wanted, for some reason, the county wanted more money to build something, whatever. And so they decided to put a higher tax on the peach orchards that were out there, because they grew a lot of fruit trees out there. And the farmers didn't want to pay the peach orchards, or the tax for the peach orchards, because they were barely making any money anyway. So they dug up all the peach orchards and set it on fire and stuff like that. And it basically killed the industry of the town and killed the town. But they didn't pay the tax. Anyway, so the town is just a little strip of buildings, the bank and a general store. And so we met some people while we were out there. We were filming the old strip of town, and there's people that actually live in a house beside where the town used to be, where the business center used to be, the stores, the bank. And, they came out like, well, hey, what are you doing here? And so, whip card, this is what we do, whatever. And so they made a call to the guy that actually owns the entire town. He owns all the stores and everything else. And he came out there and gave us permission to check everything out. So we walked around the back of the building, and the back wall is fallen over. The general store crumbled. But you go into the general store, and there's still shoes in the display case. There's still items on the shelf, on wooden shelves.
Literally, it was just left and walked out.
Yeah,
I walked
and
up.
it's amazing. That's the sort of place on a small scale that I'd like to find on the large scale,
Yeah.
you know. But that was a cool place. The video is titled Ghost Town in Georgia, I think. And I sat on it for a long time before I actually put it out because I got to thinking about it that I didn't want to put the name out there where, hundreds of thousands of people could see it, go there and think, hey, because for every 100,000 people that see the video and think, man, that is cool, there's when you're putting it on a huge public platform like YouTube, somebody that's up to no good
Yeah.
can see it too and say, hey, I'm going to go out there and snag me some antiques or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's one thing. Another thing, and it makes a lot of I get a lot of, well, I get some negative comments about it, but I never reveal locations, no matter whether it's a cemetery. First of all, you can find a cemetery if you look hard enough, because 99% of them are on Find a Grave.
Yeah.
But anyway, whether it's cemeteries, old towns, or whatever, I never reveal the locations because I'm out there to film it to preserve the history. But then if I film it, preserve it, put it on a huge platform like YouTube where anybody can see it, they don't have to be subscribed to me, they don't have to comment on it. I'll never know that they see it. And they see it and think, man, that looks like that needs stealing or that needs burning down or vandalizing or whatever.
The vandals are the worst.
And even cemeteries, because if I, put it out there publicly, answered someone's question, where is that? And I answer it. And then, this guy reads that. It's like, man, I'm going to go out there and steal me some headstones or go grave robbing and bust some stuff up. I mean, I'd feel guilty about that. So I try to not to publicly reveal locations. So if somebody has a true desire to go clean out a cemetery or something that I might film, they can message me privately if they're local,
Or they can look it up on Find a Grave.
Or they can look it up and find a grave.
No, that's good though, because I mean, some people are out there just to watch the world burn. So,
They
Exactly.
They really are.
and a lot of them live in the YouTube comment section. So,
Right, yeah. And so and I explained that to somebody one time that they asked me where I think it was a cemetery was, and I said I don't publicly reveal locations. They're like, well, I'm not someone that would do that. And I'm like, I know you're not, but this
Joe right under you.
Joe, who's not even going to comment on this video, can see it too.
Comment sections can be some seedy neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's public.
that's
I used to have my phone number listed on the YouTube channel until I got a call at like 3 a.m. from someone who had watched one of my videos and wanted to talk about the place that I'd filmed, or actually Brian filmed it, but wanted to talk about it. And I got this sounded drunken message like, you filmed this town, but you don't know the real story or something like this. And I'm like, okay, delete my number from there, my number from there.
And he wasn't overseas either, so he was like in Alabama, so it was 3 o'clock there too.
Yeah, it was 3 o'clock there too. I was like, dude, why are you calling me at 3 in the morning to talk about one of my videos? I am taking my number off of everything.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, don't put your number on YouTube. If it was cool back when we had 30 subscribers and they were all local, but then when you've got like 8,000 or 6,000 or 2,000 or even 1,000, subscribers that,
yeah, there's a lot of
that you don't know, or you're getting a lot of video views. I should say it's not really subscribers.
Yeah.
Just if you're getting a lot of video views, then don't put your number out there.
No, we would just get your voice sucks. Okay.
right. That's funny.
Yeah, that's crazy though. I think we've got our email set up somewhere, but I don't think we ever added a phone number.
Yeah. I had the phone number because I wanted people, because like I said, we were just tiny little channel, and 30 people watched our videos that were all local, and so they watch it and say, hey, I know where you should go film, and that was cool. But now it's like
you gotta be careful about that.
Yeah, it's like now it's to the point where enough people are seeing it that out of the 100,000 views a video gets, 10 of those 100,000 people by nature are going to be crazy and call you.
And that's something too that the world is not short on crazy people.
No,
there's no shortage.
And I try to answer every comment that comes through. I should say I tried. I used to make sure I answered every comment that came through to the YouTube channel, and I still try to. But it's when you start getting even 10 comments a day, it starts adding up, and so I can't do that.
That's why celebrities have people run their social media for them.
Yeah. So if people want to contact me directly, there's the Facebook page. And I can be reached there, like you guys contacted me on there. That's how I can be directly reached. And I mean, if you got a lead for me, absolutely tell me about it. Anybody, but no phone numbers on YouTube.
Yeah. So when you guys go film somewhere, like what kind of equipment and stuff do you guys use? Like what kind of cameras, or like do you have a drone? I think you.
Little GoPro.
Yeah, GoPro. We use GoPro.
We have GoPro.
Yeah, that's the main thing we film with. That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually that's GoPro 5.
That's
GoPro
what we
5.
have, I think.
I used it for a long time, the Hero 5 Black, and it was like if something just gingerly brushed up against it, then it would make this awful racket, pick it up on the microphone. Of course, I never updated the camera either. So that may have been taken care of in an update. But anyways, awful. And so I bought a Hero 7 instead, which is night and day between the Hero 5. I mean, the audio's better. The picture just right out of the camera looks awesome.
Also, we do use the GoPro. We have other cameras too. And if we get something that's like that we really need to capture the absolute stunning beauty of this place, we'll whip out the SDLR camera. DSLR camera, yes. I have one. I just take terminology beyond me. But also, like if there's anybody watching that wants to film something that and you're wondering how you could get started, and I don't know if there's anybody viewing in that boat, but cell phones. I have shot stuff with my cell phone. In fact, I just had we did a thing down by the river, and we're pulling out the bottles out of the thing. I shot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I've got a new phone. I just got a new phone, and it's just gorgeous. Like it's just beautiful. And anything that requires like where you have to move fast, then quickest thing is your phone in your pocket. They all shoot 1080, but preferably the GoPro.
Yeah.
And now when I shot some of the stuff like up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I didn't have the GoPro at that time. I just Robbie passed off the GoPro to me when he got the 7. But the cell phone's the easiest and quickest thing next to the GoPro.
Yeah, I never ever shoot with the cell phone. I am totally against shooting with the cell phone. But that being said, cell phone video has come a long ways. Absolutely beautiful. Brian has shot with cell phone before, and I think he's filmed some of our adventures with cell phone. I was like, no cell phone, no cell phone. I've just been against filming with the cell phone just on principle of being a old school, I guess you'd say, photographer. If I'm going to shoot something, it's going to be with a camera, a real camera. And of course, then that devolved into a GoPro, which is awesome. But
it is awesome.
But I've got a DSLR. And it's a ATD Canon, and
I've got ADD.
Yeah,
you guys just didn't get your letters straight.
Right. And and I've used it maybe one time since I bought it for video. It's beautiful video, but it's just so much easier to grab GoPro and walk around with it, or a cell phone.
For the most.
And I'm not knocking anybody that shoots with a cell phone by any means, by the way. Absolutely shoot.
But it's a perfect entry level thing, and you're gonna want, if you are shooting with a cell phone, eventually you're gonna want a different. You're gonna want to upgrade because you can't stick your cell phone underwater unless you've got one of those fancy ones that can go underwater. But you if you break your cell phone, you don't have communication.
Yeah.
But you can stand to lose a GoPro.
So we filmed this old this old tugboat on the that was sunk in the river. It's actually a really cool place. I need to go back and film it again. I don't know if you guys know YouTuber D Almighty.
That sounds familiar.
He does like the river treasure. He finds dropped cell phones in the
Oh,
water.
I have seen his. Yeah, he comes up with some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So he's in Columbus too. And so we filmed this old tugboat out there, and then he filmed it. He actually filmed it after we'd filmed it, and then I saw his video of it, and it was like, man, he did a much, because this was early when we were doing videos. We didn't know what we were doing, and I was like, man, he did a much better job of shooting that than we did. Let's just delete that. And but anyway, this is coming back to not breaking your cell phone. So when we were filming it,
That's right. I forgot about
we used
that.
like an old GoPro. And I had my cell phone in my pocket. I climbed up to the upper deck and leaned over, and my cell phone went whoop, right out of my pocket. And I was like, oh man, it's going to hit the lower deck and crack. And so it comes tumbling. This is a remote, not a cell phone, but it's close enough. It goes tumbling. It's in slow motion too. It goes tumbling down and hits the lower deck. And I'm like, oh man, it just cracked the crap out of my cell phone. It bounces up, hits the side of the boat, goes off and into the water. And
fact,
it was gone.
The Almighty probably found it.
Yeah, he might have found
He
it.
found it after we did. So he probably
I
found
never
it.
actually watched his video entirely, but he might have found it out there.
God, that sucks.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat boat though, because it was.
This is
been
a
there
cool
for-
boat. We need to go back and film
Yeah.
it legitimately now that we know how to film stuff.
Because it's all rusty. It's in the river, and it was just abandoned there.
Yeah.
It's too expensive to try to salvage, and they just. So now it's like a exploration plaything.
Yeah.
Do you trust your GoPro in water?
Oh yeah. I
Do you put it in a case, or do you just do it as is?
just as is.
I haven't ever trusted mine to do it. I have like a cheap one off of Amazon, like a knockoff that was like $50 that I put a water casing on, and I filmed underwater with it. But I didn't want to risk the GoPro. Do you guys do you guys use any stabilizers? Is it all just completely your hands? Because your videos are smooth.
I've got really, really, really steady hands from taking pictures, photography pictures, camera pictures. So I just don't. I just shoot with my hand. It's just been ingrained in me to have steady hands, for taking like long exposures with a film camera. So that's just transitioned into video.
But now the GoPro 7, which you now use, just has unbelievably.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
GoPro 7 has built-in stabilization, so it's awesome. Man, I love the video that comes out. It's not like, how you see some video that has built-in stabilization and it doesn't look good. You can tell it's being stabilized.
Mhm.
GoPro is not like that at all. It's steady.
Yeah, the 7's amazing. It's like black magic.
Yeah, we have the 5 and we have gimbals, but I mean,
Yeah.
my sister recently bought the 7 and she was showing it off, and it really, the digital stabilization is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Good job.
I've always been too cheap to buy a gimbal, so that's why.
They're very expensive. Like it hurt to buy it. The reason I got it
Yeah.
is because it came with the drone.
Yeah.
I got the GoPro drone.
Yeah.
And on that topic, a GoPro can survive about a 40-foot fall.
Wow.
I can tell you it cannot survive being run over by a race car. So our
Got to draw the line somewhere.
right, David Phillips, he flies a drone, and he does some of our drone video, or all of our drone video if we have drone video in the video. And he flies drone, but he's got another project he's working on called Team 7 Racing, and it's a local race car folks around here. And he had a GoPro mounted on the side of the car, and it fell off at 120 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour. It survived the fall, but it didn't survive getting run over by the car behind that car. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, it was messed up.
that's heartbreaking.
He was able to
If you had the
Yeah.
insurance, of course, it probably wouldn't cover that.
Yeah, I don't think it did. It was a Hero 7 too. He's the one that I used his Hero 7 to film the Halloween special.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was the first time I'd ever used one. I was like, man, I got to get one of these. So much better than the 5.
So, out of curiosity, was your Halloween special at night?
No.
Okay,
No.
because I was wondering, like, the one thing I don't like about the GoPro is, like, I wish it had some type of night mode that was better.
Yeah.
Right.
It's absolutely terrible. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
will say
that's-
this though. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I bought a at Best Buy. I don't know if you guys have a Best Buy near you, but they had it's kind of like an off-brand. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a light that fits around your GoPro.
Oh, cool.
And it attaches with the normal GoPro attachments, but it has different modes like a strobe. It has a light, low bright, really bright, and it makes a huge difference at night. So
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta get that or get something like
I gotta
that.
look into that.
Yeah, because we do a lot of, well, if we go in a dark house, obviously GoPro doesn't do anything for light. If the light drops at all,
Yeah.
GoPro's done. And plus, I did a video recently where I was crawling around under an old house, and I had a little. It seemed bright at the time, flashlight, but then when I looked at the video, it wasn't very bright.
Yeah, digital takes a lot more light
Yeah,
than
it does.
film does or tape. Digital, you have to light things up pretty good.
Yeah.
So you guys use the audio straight from the GoPro? You guys don't have any extra mics when you go out?
No, just straight GoPro audio.
Nice.
Um,
No, we haven't really used any outside audio that much. I got like my wife got me an Osmo for Christmas. That's like a gimbal type thing. It's really tiny compared to like the GoPro and its gimbal, and you can attach like your phone into it and make it almost like cinematic type. And we went in caves this past weekend, and that was really cool. And the footage looked good on the phone. I hope it looks good on like the actual computer when I go to edit it.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was in a darker place. I know the GoPro would have struggled really hard, the Hero 5. So no,
Yeah.
You got some steady hands. I would have never ever thought you filmed on a GoPro, because I am like twitchy even with a gimbal. I'm a very spastic person when I film. So
I tell
that's
you,
impressive.
it's just from years of doing, for first film photography, then digital photography, and taking, using a long lens, zoom lens.
Oh yeah, a lot of the having this. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I've just got naturally steady hands. I don't know. We'll see.
I used to do a show. I used to have a show on a local public access cable channel, and I did a show called Day Trip, and my wife and I go around to small towns, and this was more like check out this old town. This is where you can go in a day and come back, that sort of thing. It wasn't like abandoned stuff, but I've done a lot of shooting like that over the years. So a lot of practice using a small light camcorder, and after a while you just kind of like get used to it, and you build up muscle memory, and you get into the position of holding a camera. Your muscles just kind of like tightened up, and there's always going to be a little shake, but
it saves you a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's like the use of the GoPro. I'm a musician as well. And I've got a studio in my bedroom. It's a Porta studio, and I've recorded a bunch of my music, but I've also recorded other people's music for them. I've recorded albums for people, and it's like my theory has always been, and I think to an extent it goes for cameras as well, that it doesn't matter what you're using to get what you're aiming for, whether it be music or video, as long as the end result looks or sounds good, or looks and sounds good. So like, the use of a cell phone, I have a DSLR camera.
DSLR, yeah.
I have a real camera, but I'm not anywhere near as proficient with it as Robbie is, because I've always been a video guy. But yeah, it's like frequently I'll use the phone or I'll use the GoPro. And as long as the picture is pretty, and there's some things that, like, if you're trying to get depth of field and all that stuff, you have to use something more advanced. But if you're just like
Or a filter.
But as long as you're getting a good image, that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, some cell phones, they take really good video too. Like I've had it where I don't know what footage is GoPro, what's the cell phone. So
Yeah. I saw footage that Ryan had shot with his cell phone. Was like, man, that's good.
They're making them really good now. In the last couple of years, they've really come a long way with the cell phones.
Yeah, I use my phone more than Blake. Like, I'll usually have it on a tripod. That way I could put it somewhere and film like stationary stuff while I go film with the GoPro. That way I could have something extra. So, or even since the GoPro 5 mic isn't that good, I'd use my cell phone too for audio. So
Yeah. Yeah, this I think is it this one? I don't know. There's one of these fancy cell phones that Brian has had is like better for had the best audio.
Oh yeah,
recording or
the
something.
LG V20. I'll be expecting my check, LG. The LG V20 has phenomenal. I still use it like for my down the road series. All the narration on the down the road videos is done with an LG V20. I just sit on the side of my bed, and once I've written everything down, I just talk it into the cell phone through their digital voice recorder, and it sounds every bit as good as my studio does because I used to use the studio. Now I just use the cell phone. It's like it's amazing.
So you do it with your studio right next door, since it's
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
That's awesome. That's a really good example of the gear doesn't matter.
Also, my studio's old. It doesn't have any kind of USB. It's an old model, so whatever you record, you have to rip down to the master track, then burn it to a CD, finalize it, take it in there, put the CD in the computer, and all that. So with a cell phone, you just plug it in. They make way more advanced studios now than what I've got. I'm really happy with the sound that comes out of the studio, but I really only use it to record serious music projects, just because you have to put something serious into it to justify what it takes to get it back out.
Yeah.
So how do you guys manage your like life, work, and the channel? Like with all, because you guys do a good amount of videos. Like it's great. You guys are putting out a lot.
Man, it ain't easy. So we generally shoot once a week on Sundays. If we're all shooting together, I should say.
Yeah.
So Brian and I usually go out, and the other guys. Sorry, I just read a message that came across Brian's phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, shoot, I forgot what I was saying. Sundays. We go out and shoot on Sundays if we're all going together. So what I like to do is, if we go out and shoot on a Sunday, I like to try to get as many videos as possible, on that day. So we shoot this place, that's a video. Then we go drive over here, shoot this place, that's a video. Shoot this. So I'm able to get like 3 videos. If I can get 2 or 3 videos out of one day of shooting, then that's awesome. Saves, then I can take the next weekend off and edit them all.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, to manage it all, because first of all, you want to do so much more filming and editing. And so I not only edit the Sidestep Adventures channel, but I also do the master editing, the final editing on Brian's Down the Road channel, which I'm like super duper behind on. I've got a video of his I've actually got to get put up. I got to put up right now. But so we shoot on Sundays, and generally I have like one night a week that I edit. And so editing a 20-minute video takes about 2 hours or so. That's from chopping it up to uploading it to YouTube. 2 hours. So I generally devote one night to try to do it.
There's a lot in the edit.
Yeah.
You can take, depending on how bad video is, you can take some questionable video and make a masterpiece out of it.
Yeah.
Through editing and slow-mo and all this stuff.
And so what I like to do, especially if I'm shooting by myself, what I like to do is, the entire time that I'm shooting anything, whenever we go out, I'm always editing it in my head already. I'm like, okay, I filmed this. I know I'm going to segment that into this and this and this and this. So my mind's always working on what the final edit is going to be, because if I'm working on the final edit while I'm shooting, then it makes it a lot easier to go home and chop it up.
Yeah, you already know what you're going to do.
I know exactly. I've already got it all, what's the Hollywood term,
Pre-produced,
not pre-produced, but
storyboard.
Yeah, I've got it all storyboard in my head, storyboarded maybe in my head.
And it saves a lot of time than like looking through all the footage if you already have it like in your head, the timeline in your head already. So
yeah, it's like, man, I filmed some videos, like one I filmed recently, don't remember the name of it, but I did it just recently, and I shot it, and I was like, man, I know exactly how I'm going to edit this together. Went home, had the edit part done in like, it was 20-minute video, so probably like 40 minutes. It was edited, and then of course, then processing it and saving it, converting it, and uploading it. That's what takes the most time generally. And,
yeah, the rendering takes forever.
So my day job is I run a Volkswagen shop, a vintage air-cooled Volkswagen shop. That's where I'm at right now. So I was like, who's pulling up outside right now at this time? And just FYI, with some bikers that want something welded right now at like 9 o'clock at night. But
The night's young.
yeah, right. So I do that. And so I work Monday through Friday and have Saturday and Sunday to do whatever, you know. And then, you know, I mean, I work like 9 to 5, but I never actually leave here at 5. Obviously, I'm here right now. But, you know, like tonight, I was working on my Jeep, the Sidestep Adventures Jeep, right before we got started with this, which is why I tried my best to clean up before I got on video, but I was covered in grease.
It's okay. We don't judge.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's what I do. And so with what I do, you know, running a Volkswagen shop, it doesn't, you know, allow plenty of time for shooting and editing and whatnot, you know, as opposed to, you know, a job where I have to work weekends and yada yada yada.
Regimented.
Yeah, or one where I'm stressed all the time, that sort of thing, which I have done, and I don't anymore, which I'm very thankful for. Brian, of course, he's a bum. He doesn't actually work.
Gotta
That's
have one
how
of
I
it.
That's my life.
Musicians.
I just do YouTubes. I just sit on the computer and edit stuff. That's my thing.
The ultimate goal.
Yeah, that is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, you know, I'm not my job, but like in general, like a lot of people don't realize how much YouTube is. It's like it's not just record and put it up there.
Exactly. Yeah. And it, you know, if you do just record it and put it up there, then you know it's not. You know, it's not great material.
Yeah, I've seen stuff where people put up something that was actually pretty interesting, but they put it up raw, and it's like all the shaky cam, all the stuff that should be cut, you know, is all in there, and it's like, whoa, I would like this if they had just spent, you know, 15 minutes editing.
And you know, that's not to say that some people can't just go out shoot whatever. You know, I'm not downing anybody. I don't want to sound like I'm downing anybody, but you know, at all. But you know, editing to me is very important. You know, and getting the final product done. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling now.
That's all this whole live stream is. That's all we ever do. We just ramble until it's time to go.
Hey man, I'd fit in with you guys. I can ramble with the best of them.
No, we like hearing other people's process and like what all they go through, because like we were saying, like he was saying, like it does take a lot of time. Just even like afterwards, you gotta thumbnail it, schedule tag it, reply to the comments, like you were saying, and you gotta make sure like the video gets some sort of traction too, because you just put in all this work. You want to get the views. Yeah. So it's a lot when you start adding it up. Like that little bit of time adds up over a week. So
yeah, oh, absolutely,
does.
Yeah. Cool. So do you guys have a favorite video of yours that you would recommend to a stranger? Like what's your number one video?
What's your favorite video, Brian?
What is my favorite video? I like the grist mill, the water wheel. I thought that was a cool video. That was a neat place. There was that really cool video at the junkyard when I was out of town during that thing, but there's some really nice cars in there. I don't know. It's like I'm like, I have so much fun shooting them and finding out the stuff. Like, actually, I like some of my favorites are some of the ones that you did by yourself, like the cemetery with the little pictures on the headstones. For me, it's moments. Like, I don't know that I have a favorite video. I have like favorite scenes and favorite moments from videos.
I don't think that I have a favorite video. As far as recommending a video to watch, you know, that's kind of hard to say. I'd have to go through and
as soon as this live stream ends, I'll remember the one that I wanted.
Right, exactly. You know, the Tale of Samantha Street, that is definitely a favorite of mine. Visiting Old Silas Ramey, that's another favorite of mine. And those two are more favorites because they're very, very super duper endangered places, and I hear motorcycles again. Anyway, they're super duper endangered places, and it was just cool experience to be able to go out and film them.
Yeah.
So Silas Ramey, we did not put this on YouTube because I didn't want my YouTube channel taken down and any of this stuff. But so Silas Ramey's tomb there fell in, and if you look over inside of the tomb, his remains, his bones are exposed. And it's wow, when you see something like that, that somebody that died 150 years ago and their femurs laying on top of the ground being chewed on by a squirrel. That's true, not just that's what it was out there. There's a femur laying on top of the ground that you could see where squirrels had chewed on it, and it's so sad. Nobody, no matter who you are, deserves that.
No.
And so after filming that, and the reason that that's one of my videos is, after filming that, I was like, busted my butt on the phone, trying to find someone who cared enough to go out and fix that place. So I called the county commissioner, the county that it's in. No, I called the sheriff's office and said, hey, there's exposed human remains at this location. Guy's like, well, you better call our local historian. And so I did.
You're going to have to call the person that owns this town.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You're going to have to call a local historian. So I called, who's also our county commissioner.
Yeah.
So I called the county commissioner, and he was like, I know what you're talking about. I didn't realize it was that bad off. You better call the Daughters of the American Revolution. Well, this was FYI, this was a Confederate soldier's grave. And he actually got killed in the battle of Gettysburg, more or less. He was captured by Union forces and died as a POW. But during the heat of the war, the Battle of Gettysburg, he was captured by the Union, had his leg amputated. There's only one femur. Had his leg amputated. This is dark humor for you. Had his leg amputated, died as a POW, and somehow made it all the way back to a little bitty town in Georgia. During the Civil War, it's not like nowadays, where, you're flown back in, and it's amazing that he made it all the way back down here. So anyway, getting back to it, he told me to call the Daughters of American Revolution. I called Daughters of American Revolution. They said, we don't deal with Confederate veterans. That's not our gig. Plus it's on private property, which it is on private property. So we can't do anything. So I called the Daughters of Confederate Veterans, I think, and they said you better call the county commissioner. And the county commissioner wanted me to call Daughters of American Revolution, and so yeah, and so I called Sons of Confederate Veterans, and they said they were aware of it, but they're a bunch of old guys now, or whatever that chapter is, I guess. And I don't exactly know what they do, but they said a bunch of old guys now, and that they're aware of it, and that they intended to go out there and fix it up when it got cold and there would be no snakes. Of course, we didn't care about snakes when we were going out.
Yeah.
But and I was like, man, if I don't care that it's private property. First of all, when it comes to someone's remains exposed on the top of the ground, who cares if it's private property? At least go out there and throw a tarp over it. And that's what I was planning on doing if I couldn't find anybody to fix it, because I don't care if you're a Confederate veteran, Union veteran, modern day veteran, whatever veteran.
Not even a veteran.
Not even a veteran.
Yeah.
Just a person, whatever. You don't deserve, if you were a human being, you don't deserve to have your one femur being chewed on by rodents now,
On a neater note, though, he was buried in a metal coffin with a porthole right here. Because I saw it years ago before the top fell in. And he had this porthole, which you couldn't see anything because I guess it had been shuffled around so much in the years. But it was a coffin that's kind of shaped like the Oscars little statue.
Yeah,
It's kind of shaped like that, but without the wings.
Yeah, it was a wrought iron coffin. It's pretty cool. And I guess the guy was a doctor back then, because he had to be of some substantial importance back then. To make it back, from dying as a POW up in I guess Pennsylvania, all the way back to Georgia. Not a short trip back then, and then to be placed in a metal coffin, and then have an elaborate tomb built on top of him. He had to be someone of some importance, to at least his family, but also financially speaking back then.
But now he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Now he doesn't have a leg to stand on. His one
Kick him
leg
while he's down.
Yeah, his one leg's being chewed on by rats.
That's another situation where there was a bunch of other stuff around too. I think there's some other Confederate or Civil War graves out there. But sorry, I keep getting texts on my phone.
Yeah,
but it's all gone now.
Yeah, so there were when we pulled up there, so it's at a little corner lot. The grave is, and this is one where I was super worried about putting this one online for the vandalism thing. We were talking about, because I don't want somebody to say, "Hey, I'm gonna go get me a femur," out there, and so that's why. But when you put the name on there, it's easy to find. The cemeteries if you put a name on there, because find a grave, but it does take that extra step of people actually having to look for it. So it reduces the bad folk who might
gets rid of the lazy the lazy bad folk.
Yeah. So if you're if you really want to find something in a cemetery, then you can, but it does take a little bit more work. So I'm a little worried about putting names out there like that. But anyway,
next live stream, Ethan's gonna have a femur hanging behind him.
Right, exactly.
Captured. We take forever to edit and get videos out, so we just have it on live stream, and then a year later have the video.
Right.
So you guys have anything exciting planned coming up, or any goals for this year you want to achieve on your channel?
And I don't have anything, any goals so much as, I know a lot of people set like view goals, subscriber goals, all that sort of thing. All of that, I don't really do that sort of thing. I just let it kind of happen as it happens. And in the meantime, I just keep shooting video,
Yeah, that's the thing, to just keep pressing forward.
Yeah. And so, but as far as exciting, just anything cool we can find. I've actually got a couple leads on some really cool places.
Yeah.
One's an big giant abandoned house that I'm pretty excited to go film.
Yeah.
And so just anything cool we can find. I've got some stuff that I want to go film. I really want to kind of focus on some ghost town sort of stuff. I already did the Ridgeway video. That's dirt road adventure looking for a lost town.
I was watching that one.
Yeah, and so I did that, and I want to do more stuff like that. Finding these old towns,
more
and stuff.
abandoned things.
Yeah,
things that you can actually explore, because it is fun finding traces of stuff and piecing together what used to be here. But there's nothing beats actually walking through an old abandoned house or building or something like that.
I mean, abandoned stuff does really well on YouTube too. I mean, I love watching abandoned videos. Just you feel like you're there, the adventure, and you don't have to worry about trespassing when you have a watching a video. So,
right. So I got a lot of traction on one of those cemetery videos that I filmed. The Creepy and Sad Cemetery is the title of it, and it was like. It sat with like 1,000 views, and then I don't know how many it's got now, 100-something thousand, I think. And it was like, well, I've always viewed it as people that go, have you, if you do primarily abandoned videos and you're doing like this abandoned house, this abandoned town, this abandoned place, and then you just do cemetery after doing all the abandoned stuff, because I've seen some channels do that, and I kind of viewed that as like you shoot cemeteries when you have nothing else to shoot, sort of thing. And I didn't really feel like people would really want to see me just walking around a cemetery, thing. But I like it, so I filmed it. But it got a lot of views, and it really surprised me. But and so I've actually, even that being said, I like visiting old cemeteries and filming it. But that's not the only thing that, I want to do. If you say, even though that video is like, wow, it drew a lot of people in, And so the same thing kind of happened when first video that we did that had over 100,000 views, I think it was like 300,000 views or whatever, was an old abandoned junkyard.
Yeah.
And so we filmed that and got all these subscribers, maybe like 1,000 or so back then. But all they were looking for were more old cars, old abandoned junkyards, and whatever. So, they watched this video, but they didn't really have that big an interest in the abandoned stuff, And it's kind of like having a one-hit wonder, sort of thing, where you get, a lot of fans that like just that one song. They just want to hear that one song. Or they want to see that sort of stuff. So it was like I had all these subscribers, but I was only getting XX amount of views on the videos. But now, that was back when I had 1,000 subscribers. Now the channel's got like 8,000 and some change subscribers. Bless you. And and it's cool because the people that have subscribed now like what we do, And it's cool to actually have engagement from people that don't just say, when are you going to go shoot another junkyard? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And you definitely can't. I mean, a lot of channels will succumb to that, and they'll have one really good hit, and they're like, "Oh well, I'm only going to do this from now on."
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was kind of the same way with the cemetery. Is it got a lot of views, and I did shoot a few more cemeteries only because that's what I'd already done, and it's really weird. Like I had this one guy that commented on my channel and said, I like your videos because I watch Aquachigger. Have you guys ever seen Aquachigger's videos?
I don't think so.
So he does a lot of metal detecting and stuff. Anyway, he commented and said, I like your videos because I like to watch Aquachigger. But he said, but you're trying to be too much like Aquachigger, and you sound a lot like him, and this sort of thing. And I read this comment, and I was thinking, I didn't even know who Aquachigger was when I first started doing videos. Don't paint me into a corner like that because because you see my name associated with Aquachigger, like I'm trying to imitate what he's doing or whatever. I didn't know who he was until I started doing YouTube videos. And the reason that I like him and I've linked up with him is because we both are in the same, same genre, you'd say, although I don't really do metal detecting videos, because anytime I actually go out with a metal detector and film, if I go out with a metal detector and have a camera with me, I'm not going to find anything. If I go out with a metal detector with no camera, then I find stuff. Right. So I can't actually film metal detecting. But anyway, anyway, I was like, man, that's something right there.
Yeah.
Negative comments on YouTube, man, you have to have a strong backbone to be on YouTube dealing with negative comments, because they will just eat you up, Yeah,
there's some people that just live to do nothing but give people negative comments and thumbs down. And like you said that time, you can't let it get all up in your feelings.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I'm just a smart ass to people that leave, And like somebody said, next time get a real camera crew or something on one of the videos. So I just said, next time watch another video. Don't click on my video then, or whatever. But you have to have a strong backbone for that. I do, I just like, whatever, But when Brian started his channel, that's what I was like, I think I told him, or I meant to tell him, let me tell you now, that, if you get negative comments, you can't let it affect you. It's got to be like water on a duck's back.
My skin's that thick.
Yeah, okay.
It took me a while. Like when we first started out, everything really got to me because you pour your heart and soul into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
oh, sorry, go for it.
No, I mean, I totally get that. It's still, it still bothers me to see stuff like that. Like, like I'm some imitation of this other YouTuber with a million views, and who I mean, you compliment me and then say, "Oh, but you're trying to imitate this guy. That's why I like your videos, but you're trying way too hard to imitate." It's like, that's not it at all. I'm just me on my videos, And so you know, that sort of stuff, you know, it can definitely, you know, bother you a little bit, but you know, you like say you just have to like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
What's the
I had
meanest comment you've ever received?
You guys need to shave. You look like a bunch of Muslims with your beards. I was like, what does that even mean, dude? What does that even mean? I mean, you racist prick. What does that mean? First of all, I still understand what that means, but that's one that stands out because that was the first negative comment I got on.
He's not harboring a grudge against that one or anything.
Yeah,
Right off the bat.
that was right. That was the first negative comment I ever got.
So that wasn't even about the channel. You're just being mean.
Yeah, and it was like the comment didn't even make sense. I mean, you know, first of all, Brian's not even unshaved. I mean, I'm an unshaven heathen, but
you have enough for both of you, apparently.
Apparently,
I
yeah.
wasn't even in that one, so.
And you know, man, I get, you know, on the big videos, you know, I get negative comments. You know, just because if that, I guess it pops up on people's recommended, you know, who aren't fans of the channel.
The more people that see it, the more likelihood.
Yeah, the more. So, you know, I like, you know, a nice, you know, my viewers come in and comment and, you know, whatever and that. And then when it gets, you know, video suddenly, you know, grows really big, then you get all the, you know, jerks on there saying this is this is this. And that's where it's just like, you know, okay, this is a smart ass comment. You know, this is the time for me to reply like a smart ass or whatever, you know.
I learned a long time ago as a musician because, you know, you start out playing and you get better as you go. And, you know, unless you're just gifted when you first start out, you might not be that great. But I learned early on in entertainment of any kind, you have to have super thick skin because, and I was lucky as far as where the music goes because, you know, most people were very supportive. But entertainment is entertainment. And
everybody's a critic.
Yeah, I never really appreciated that saying until we had a channel. Like everyone's a critic because you do work this hard on something, and then someone can tear it down so easy. But I think also people don't really appreciate they don't see what you're doing behind the scenes to make the video. Yeah. They think it's easy. They think all the editing it just came together like that.
Yeah, and so you know, for every 10 positive comments you get, that one negative comment bothers you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and. It used to, you know, like I said, it used to bother me when I first got into it. You know, I'd read this and, you know, it didn't matter how many people said this was great. The one person that said this is, you know, horrible, I was like, well, man, what did I do wrong or whatever, you know? And then now I just don't care. You know, now I'm going to shoot video, whether you like it or not, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, we've had videos where we get like, you know, hundreds of likes and we'll have like 2-3 dislikes and it's like, who was that?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've and you know, so the other on the junkyard video, that was also a very early video, and it's just by happenstance that it, you know, it got a bunch of views because I was just walking around junkyard. I was looking for parts, and I was just walking around junkyard with GoPro. I wasn't really focusing on shooting. I was focusing on looking for parts, you know. And so I get I still get negative comments on that. Oh, you need to slow down and let us look too, and blah blah blah, and all this critiquing, and you know, and I'm like, first of all, Dan, dude, this video is like a year old.
Yeah, I think it's older than that now.
Yeah, something like, I don't know, I think it's a year, but it's like, I mean, this video is a year old and whatever, you know, sort of thing.
You can pause the video. You know that, right?
They even have a speed thing in the
you can change the speed.
Yeah, exactly. You can watch the new stuff.
Learn to technology.
I mean,
right.
I've shared really big channels videos on Reddit before, and I've had people like critique them like their new channel. I'm like, this dude's getting like 1 million views of video, man.
Right.
He doesn't need your criticism right now. He's obviously doing something good. So, like, come on. But it's good seeing that that people will do that to other videos, so you don't have to sweat it. But on a bad day, if you're already having a bad day and you get a notification of like one of those comments that cut deep, like it can mess with you. It's just like,
if you're already depressed and you need that extra push to kill yourself, post your videos on Reddit.
Yeah, you know, I've done very, very, very little of self-promotion of the channel. And so, obviously it's 8,000 subscribers is not a huge channel, by today's YouTube standards. It's a tiny little channel.
But
But
it's growing and you're getting views, man. It's like snowballing.
yeah, I mean, it's grown incredibly over the past 6 months or so,
Yeah.
maybe 3 months. But it's one of those things where I've never actually, I've never bought advertising, because a buddy of mine, Legacy 4x4, he told me he got a bunch of subscribers by buying advertising. Sorry if that was a secret, but
we did that when we first started, but they don't really. You get numbers, but it doesn't really translate to interaction.
right, exactly. And so I've done none of that. I just, if the video draws people in, then it draws people in. So I think it's for as little work as I have put into the channel on the promoting it side, I think it's been really successful, and just growing naturally. And I'd rather see it grow naturally than, not have the interaction, or, because I tell you what, we talked about negative comments and bad viewers and all of that, but I absolutely love the people that come in and, comment on the videos and are regulars.
Oh yeah. They're very.
Like there's this one fella who's been following the channel for a while, and I always look forward to his comment, to be honest with you, and and like it's funny to me that like I said, I try to reply to as many comments as I can. I can't say I try to reply to every comment anymore, but I try to reply to as many as I can. I replied to somebody, and they're like, "Wow, you actually answered," like stars in their eyes, sort of thing. It's like, man, I appreciate you guys for watching the videos, and so a week or 2 weeks ago, my cousin, who was very important to me, very close to me, was killed in a car wreck, and and I posted about it on the YouTube community and got all these kind, loving comments from it. And, I was like, it really meant a lot. People say, thanks, that means a lot or whatever. But, it really meant a lot to see all these people come in and, actually care and, and comment. Or, when Brian was really sick, a while back, which that's a whole different story. But anyway, some people came in and and commented when I made that announcement on why we weren't shooting videos. And anyway, just all the people that come in, leave comments, it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, especially when we first started out, like you get attached to people, and when they, disappear for a while, you're like, oh man, I hope they're okay.
Yeah,
so I haven't seen a comment
absolutely.
from them in a while.
Yeah, it's really good when you see them pop up again.
So, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we're about to make an episode about you.
Right.
Missing YouTubers.
It's I see a lot of these. I actually read a thing about whether to reply to comments or not. And it was I don't know, it was an article on, it may have been on Reddit or something like that. And they're like, I don't reply to my people's comments because then everyone's going to want me to reply to a comment or whatever, or something like that. And it was just some, I don't know who it was, probably YouTuber with like 10 subscribers or something, but, I'm thinking, man, that's just, I appreciate the people that come and watch, my videos, because, I wouldn't be making videos if people weren't watching the videos.
Yeah, there'd be no point.
And so, I appreciate I'll try to reply to everybody's comment. And I do, I don't get to everyone, and I feel guilty for not getting to everyone, but I truly, absolutely appreciate the people that watch the channel. And, it's not like it's like it seems that some big YouTubers, million view or whatever, they they're the fans or whatever. I never really think of the subscribers as fans. I guess I'm just not what do you say, egotistical like that, like some can be. And I'm not saying that you can't have fans, but I just don't view it that way. it's like, thank you for watching the videos,
Yeah, because the people that watch, it's like the people who go see movies, the people that are putting their eyes on your screen are, without them, it'd be pointless to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
They are all important, and this.
Yeah, and I it's just like I can't get across enough how much I appreciate the people that do watch the videos, and enjoy them, and comment, and come back whenever I post a video. I truly, absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a Discord?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Do you guys have a Discord? It's a messaging app.
Nope.
You should look into it. It's we have one ourselves, but basically it's like a chat room, but your personalized chat room, and everyone, we put it in our descriptions, and our people that watch our videos can come in to that chat room and actually talk to each other, talk to you, stuff like
cool.
that. And you don't have to put your phone number out there.
Right.
Yeah, they can direct message you that way. Yeah, it's literally like being able to text whoever and everyone can see, or they could like DM you. It's really helpful, and you can make. Also, you mentioned Reddit. If you like Reddit and different like subreddits, you can make different channels, almost like mini subreddits, where people could post different things. Like you could have like abandoned places one, ghost town one, where people could put different leads, or a video one where people could share videos, or a photo one. So you could get like a different kind of interaction. Are you guys on any other social media besides like YouTube and Facebook?
No.
I mean, your Facebook's still active though. Like you guys at 600, over 600.
I have like a Instagram account.
Yeah.
I try to keep my social media to a minimum, just simply for the fact that I can't keep up with more than a couple.
Yeah. The Instagram, I've got an Instagram, and like Brian said about keeping it to a minimum, because it takes so much, I haven't posted on the Sidestep Adventures Instagram in forever. And the Sidestep Facebook page, if I get a message on there, I immediately reply to it, but like a direct message. But as far as posting on there, mostly I just let David handle that. He posts a lot of his Team 7 racing videos on there too. And then I'll just sometimes go in there and mass post a bunch of videos, like 10 videos at a time, because it's been that long since I've posted on there.
You can schedule it so people don't know you mass posted it.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I do. Like I set a certain time, like a day, like, oh, I'm gonna do Facebook stuff today, like for like 20 minutes, and I'll schedule it out for the week and break it down that way. So
yeah, we use Twitter for the most part now, which has just been really good, getting to meet other creators and stuff, and like, because we were kind of like on our own for a while. And then we kind of tapped into the horror community. So Twitter helped us a lot. But Discord, I would definitely look into it if you're interested in talking to people. And you can get on your phone too.
Cool. I launched a Patreon page too for Sidestep Adventures. And I haven't promoted it at all. Like I haven't said, like, oh, don't forget Patreon or whatever. Because first of all, if I do get anybody that becomes a patron, I guess is the correct terminology, I can't know that I can fulfill my promise of posting on there regularly because of time constraints. Just the YouTube is easiest for me.
I mean, you could put like raw unedited videos, or like mush some clips together, or stuff you haven't released.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
just doing it on a timely fashion, is what I'm concerned about. That if people are going to pay, X amount of dollars to be a patron, and then I post like one picture, I don't want to cheat somebody.
Put your phone number back up on the page.
$5 a month, you get personal text every night.
Right.
Tuck you into bed.
If the payment doesn't go through, I'm blocking your number.
That's right.
Good morning, beautiful text. $10 tier.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely understand, because I mean, the fact that people are willing to give money is like, it blows my mind. Like, I'm not good at receiving gifts in the first place, so it's like, oh my god, why would you give me money? I don't deserve this.
Yeah, I hear you.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I promoted it.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely look into that. And if you ever feel like making a Twitter, we're on there. That's where we post our
Yeah.
memes.
I'll try to do that. I've been on Twitter before.
I didn't like Twitter before. When I had a personal Twitter, I never used it. But now that we have like the strangest Twitter, it's a lot of fun getting to interact with everyone.
I'll look into it. I might have to download the app again.
Yeah, so you can meet other creators. Like if you wanted to do collaborations and stuff with people.
That's cool.
Yeah. I had no idea about the horror community before we did it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like talking about how people said you like looked like another creator, another content creator. There was only like the ones I subscribed to before, and I never thought about like all the other small channels that you could meet and talk to. They're going through the same thing as you. Yeah.
Yeah, so, there's a couple. There's a guy in Birmingham, Alabama. I think it's Birmingham Antique. I think it's Antique Archaeology Antique Archaeology. I think that's American Pickers. I don't remember what his channel is.
Yeah.
Anyway, he does metal detecting and bottle digging, and he and I talked in comments or whatever about collaborating because he's not that far away and he sees cool stuff. I like bottle digging. He likes bottle digging, and so I'm definitely down to collaborate. With other people like Aquachigger. He has talked about if next time he's down in Georgia, we'd shoot a video together doing something. And there's another guy I'd like to collaborate with. I've never reached out to him. I think his video is Alabama Explorer. And he's again, I didn't know any of these people when I started out, the YouTube channel. And then I found them after either people had told me about them or, somehow I found them and recommended or something. And there's, seeing other people that do what I do. And like that guy is someone that I'd like to collaborate with. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do it in person. You could like cut it into each other. Like if you had a similar theme video, like we filmed this kind of video and then like link them together that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great way to meet other audiences and also for people that watch your channel to find other places. So it's neat.
Yeah,
that's where you'll get active subscribers too. Like the people who will comment on there, you're gonna get the ones that matter the most ultimately. So
right. And as a legacy 4x4, he just started his channel and he does a lot of he works on his Jeep and on there. And he's got a Jeep Wagoneer like I drive, which so I was talking to him. I was like, man, we got to get together when you get your Jeep going and do, some kind of collaboration. And it'll probably have to be like, we both go down a dirt road or something, so it'll be his 4x4 stuff and my adventure stuff, and we can tie it together. And it'd be a good way for him to pick up subscribers too, because I do still have car people that follow me, or follow the Sidestep Adventures channel rather from like the junkyard videos and actually, are interested in what we do otherwise, other than old junkyards,
Yeah.
But I've got Brian, of course, has a Down the Road with Brian Mallard channel, which is really good. He puts a lot more effort into his videos than I do with the Sidestep Adventures videos. Like he does narration and all that stuff. It's really cool. I tried launching another channel on the car stuff that I do because, like I said, I run a vintage Volkswagen shop, and I wanted to tie in some videos with that. But man, it's like I can barely handle running the one channel.
Yeah.
Versus running 2.
Pitch an idea, dude. Just start a Twitch and live stream when you're working on something.
Yeah,
you might do that, and you can build an audience based off of your other audience. And if you had like a Twitter or something, you could tweet it out there, or like your community link to the Twitch, and that way you don't have to edit it. Just do what you're doing anyway. And if people like you, they might just hang around. And people find that kind of stuff almost like ASMR, like kind of relaxing, almost like the abandoned stuff, like seeing people work on things.
You can name it Creeps and Jeeps.
There you go.
There you go.
I like that.
So
Absolutely.
if you go ahead and run with that, just let me know so I can alert the copyright.
Copyright that real quick. Copyright it now.
But no, that's awesome.
We had I hadn't talked about this on the channel yet, but we actually got approached by big TV people that were looking at fishing around to find a new reality show, and actually Sidestep Adventures drew their attention. I talked to the guy that is from Ice Road. He did Ice Road Truckers, Axemen. He did The Simple Life with Paris Hilton of all things.
He's gonna put food on the table, guys.
They're not all winners.
It's right. And so his agent or his secretary contacted the Facebook page and was like, "Hey, we like your channel. We're interested in sending a film crew down there to follow you around." And we had a phone interview with them. I don't know if they're actually interested or not. Haven't heard back from them. You know, they're just fishing around. I was really worried that I was going to talk to them, give them all this information about what we do, and then like Sidestep Explorations was going to come on Discovery Channel. You know,
yeah, that's a danger.
And
They work on Pontiacs as a day job.
exactly right. Yeah, because when I told him, because I actually had the phone call with him, and he was like, "What do you do for a living?" I was like, I run a vintage Volkswagen shop," and he was like, "Oh, tell me more about that."
Yeah, still not beyond the realm of possibility.
Right, you know. But anyway, that was. I tell you what, from having a small, channel, a 8,000 subscriber channel, to getting a call, a conference call with a huge TV producer, trying to shop shows for Discovery History and National Geographic Channel, to actually have that conversation.
Yeah, the very fact that you can have that conversation.
Yeah, even if nothing happens from it, it's like, wow, what we do actually got noticed by someone huge in that industry.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But anyway, that's
remind me of like an American Pickers type thing, though.
Yeah,
You always have that.
I'd watch it.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what they were going for, because they said it would be, how they have Mike and Frank in the car, and they have their banner. They essentially broke it down that if they did do a Sidestep Adventures television program, that it would be half of the episode would be the adventure of getting there, the other half would be the place, and of course it would all be scripted. We'd be told what to do, when to do, what to wear, what to say, everything like that. And they would find the places. It wouldn't be real anymore, as real as it is now. I mean, it's halfway scripted now, with like sometimes we go find a place, but we didn't actually find it. We knew where we were going,
right.
But
that's definitely an opportunity, though. Like, I would definitely not turn that down.
yeah, I'm definitely not turning it down. I just don't think it's going to go anywhere now, because the call ended with, we're going to research it and then call you back, basically.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah. So, but it's just amazing to have been recognized by that.
And if they saw us and other people saw us too, and if you're, and that's something that anybody who's watching this live stream, if you are doing something. And this is why editing, this is why putting the extra effort into it, because you don't know who's watching it, and you don't know what kind of attention you might attract. And one thing that talent people look for is something that stands out.
Yeah.
People that seem to know what they're doing, that have the skills, editing at least, people that have a good disposition on camera, that something that even if what you're doing is small, if it could be translated into something bigger with more resources, then you never know what kind of opportunity might come your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I have to tap out here.
Yeah, I'm sorry for keeping.
We're actually at the end, I believe.
Yeah, we did it then. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time. I really
You're fine. I left like I said, we were working on my Jeep, and I kind of abandoned my welder.
I'm sorry.
I'll be back in a little bit. But I mean, I don't mean to cut you guys short or run off, but
no, we took a lot of your guys' time. But everyone, definitely go check out their channel. You won't be disappointed. I mean, you already have producers looking at it, so videos are awesome. You'll literally find places that you wish you could go, or like where we're from. Like, we have similar areas that makes you want to just stop on the side of the road and film it. Like, it's definitely inspirational. So subscribe.
Yeah. If you're driving down the road and you just look off to the side of the road where the ditch is, you can see little cuts in the trees and little places where there obviously used to be a driveway. those places are right in the country, right around where you live. They're there.
Yeah,
so.
history's out there and it's in your backyard, you know.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Yeah. But thanks for watching, strangers. We'll hopefully have a new video on Wednesday and another live stream next Friday at the same time. So until then, check out Sidestep Adventures and stay strange.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Later.